Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh,
We're all there. Steve, Matt, are you with me?
I think
yeah,
so.
yeah, loud and clear from.
Welcome, everybody, to our February Birds of Essex, our monthly review. Particularly welcome for those of you that might be found us for the first time and or kind of found the chat that Steve and Matt did a couple of weeks ago and have kind of come tonight. It's great to see you. And tonight we're going to be talking about optics and field guides and obviously the news. But my primary news after last month is my wellies have arrived. I've got my Dunlops and boy, did they come in time for all that wet stuff before that white stuff. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I got some wellies as well, actually, to be fair. And I was going to put this picture onto the computer, but I forgot. So hopefully you might be able to see it on my phone. They've already been tested.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, they're pretty good fun, actually. And my main problem is I've got quite kind of chunky legs to hold up my chunky body. So I've always had trouble pulling wellies on, but I managed to find a pair that have got like a wide fit, and it just makes it so much easier. You can jump out of the car, pull them on, away you go. So, yeah, brilliant.
I saw a tweet from Steve Grimwade a couple of weeks ago when we had the mud. You know, we just kind of got that snow in our heads, haven't we, kind of from last week. But before that, we had the mud and the wet. And Steve was moaning about having to clean his walking boots, being a walking boot person, kind of. But I see on my script here, I've got to ask him about waxing. And kind of to some music and candles. What's this about waxing, Steve?
Well, so obviously with lockdown and stuff, it was at a loose end for an hour. So I thought, well, why not clean the walking boots? So Annette got her boots out, so we cleaned them and in the kitchen sink of all places. And then we found some like nourishing cream wax type stuff in the cupboard. So we spent a good hour gently.
Yeah, we don't need to know anymore, mate. Just you just kind of had a good wax together. We'll leave it at that. All right.
Soft music, candles, lovely.
Lovely, good stuff. Good. The other thing, news-wise, is Jerry was on the radio, did a great piece for Radio Essex.
Yeah.
When was that? Kind of last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, last Thursday, maybe.
Yeah.
You can actually pick that up on Facebook on the Essex Birdwatching Society Facebook page. There's a link there and it'll tell you where to go. But in particular, they were asking him about the incident we talked about last time with the police just interacting with a bird watcher and sending him on his way. But there's a little bit of new news on that. Firstly, the BTO, and for those of you that are doing webs counts and particularly we're close March, returning waders, breeding season. In fact, some birds are already started. The breeding bird surveys and things like that the BTO do, as of the October lockdown, those are not within the general restrictions that the public are under for exercise. So read, if you do webs counts and things like that, get on the BTO site, find out the details. Because with a landowner's permission, there is the possibility of conducting those surveys legitimately, but there's advice on there. I also contacted the Rspb after last time's program, and at the moment they haven't made any petition or anything to the government on their members' behalf, but they are aware of the situation and also kind of recognise the mindful help of bird watching. But also the RSPB had the Big Garden Bird Watch, and great news. Elaine, my wife, found out this morning that 7 million records were entered this year for the RSPB Big Garden Bird Watch, which is double that of last year. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, to be honest. I mean, that's a phenomenal number, that is.
And when we think that weekend, if we go back pre-snow, it was a really wet weekend.
Horrible.
So it wasn't kind of the best weekend to be looking at your garden. I don't think a bird came in our garden all day Saturday because it was so wet. But and then the snow came, and obviously, you know, birds were flocking to gardens then, weren't they? They needed water, needed food. So great for those of you that do that. And in particular, we had field fairs around gardens, didn't we?
Yep.
And all kinds of things kicking off. So anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Steve, you're going to tell us about new items on the website, membership.
So, we hope that you revisit our website, which is www.ebws.org.uk regularly. But for those who don't, and we've got some really exciting news. So you can you can rejoin the Birdwatching Society using PayPal now. There's a direct link on our website from the home page, top right hand corner, that will take you through, and which is really exciting news. So you haven't got to worry about checks and all that stuff anymore and standing orders, straight through PayPal now. What else is happening? Oh, well, Essex Birding, the bi-yearly magazine is, sorry, it's like that. It's just come out. So
Brilliant.
If you're a member, you should have received that. But yeah, fantastic, real bumper issue this time, full of colour. And the editor Greg Hope's done a cracking job on that. So yeah,
well done, Greg.
Great stuff on it.
Yeah, really good. So lots of exciting stuff happening.
It's good. We're making progress. And for those of you that have found us tonight for the first time, look through the YouTube gallery of or library that we have now. Matt's been doing some work on that. We've got some great stuff. Did you know, guys, the nocturnal migration, David Dower Lambert's video has been viewed over 400 times now since it was edited. Prior to that, on the night, I think there was about 150, so it's over 600 views on that. And even on our talk last month, I think we've had 200 views on that. So that's fantastic. We know some people only view for 2 seconds, see me and switch off. I understand that, no problem. But it's good anyway. We want to hear from you tonight, and we've got a little bit of fun competition. So Matt's going to kind of fill us in on how you can get in touch and what's going on with that. Matt.
Yeah, so basically we've got really a couple of ways you can get in touch with us tonight. Obviously everyone's watching on YouTube. So if you're registered for YouTube and you're signed into your account, all you need to do is click on the chat box. If you're on a PC, it'll be on the right-hand side of the screen. If you're on a tablet or a mobile device, there's usually a button at the bottom that says chat. Just click that and you can type in questions. I've got another screen here, so I'm going to monitor questions. I think we're all doing a bit of that. So if you do have something to ask or something to say, I'm sure we'll find you. The other way you can do it, if you're not registered for YouTube, is that you can text us. And I've got a mobile number here, which is 07930 530044. So that's 07930 530044. And it'd be great to hear from anybody with any feedback, questions, or anything at all. Coming back to something Steve mentioned as well, just feeding your birds in the garden, just reminding everybody, it is really important to do that during the cold weather, not just to put the food out, but just make sure your bird bath is free of ice. So break the ice in the morning, tip it away, put some fresh water out there. And I've picked up a really good little tip, which many of you probably already know, but I bought a bag of really cheap apples, cut them all in half, screwdriver through the middle, popped them on a twig on a bush, and that attracted some species which I'll show you a bit later on. What about you, guys? What do you put in your gardens?
Well, for me, yes, got a sunflower hearts feeder and a Niger feeder, so I've been using those, and apples, like you say, the thrushes go mad for the apples. You know, blackbirds fighting over them. You know, it's you know. So if you want the thrushes in the garden, apples are the way forward.
And I've just realised I've been talking without my microphone on. Thanks, Steve.
I was just about to say you're a little bit quiet, Matt. We could just about hear you.
I was trying to be all professional and put it up my shirt and
Sounds
tape
great,
it,
mate.
and I dropped it on the floor. So there you go, brilliant.
Nice of you to join the party. Good. So you better tell everybody again how they need to get in touch.
Yeah, let's do that again, shall we? So, if you've got any questions or comments, you can, if you're registered on YouTube, and you need to register on YouTube via a Google account, and then you just log into your YouTube account. And if you do that, there's a chat box on the right-hand side on a laptop or PC, or on a mobile device or tablet. There's a button underneath the screen that says chat. You just need to press that, and you can start typing your questions or comments. And we also have a mobile number, which is 07930 530044. So that's 07930 530044. And apologies, my mic wasn't attached. Hopefully you heard me that time. And I was asking guys, what food do you put in your gardens?
I think we heard Steve.
Yeah.
The birds don't come to Niger seed in our garden, although it's out there. Generally sprinkle that on the ground now, and I think the doves pick it up. But general mixed kind of seed. And then again, sunflower hearts are the great popular one for the goldfinches in our garden. And then fat balls, which the starlings love. Although we do actually have a few mealworms as well. We put out for robins, and great tits pop in for the little pot that those are in. Yeah.
Well, I found something that's really easy to do actually. If you've got an old plastic feeder, preferably one with more plastic than holes, you can buy suet, melt the suet down in a saucepan, add whatever you want. I add chopped nuts, raisins, mealworms, sunflower hearts, and then you basically just fill the feeder with it, and let it set, let it go hard, and then pop it outside. And when you put the stuff in the feeder, just wrap a bit of cling film around so it doesn't all come out the holes, and the birds absolutely go mad for it. It's gone within half a day.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I've not heard of that one before. Brilliant.
We've got some suet, but normally I make dumplings out of it. So
yeah,
let's give that a go then.
Very good. Good. What else have we got? Kind of, Matt, you've got a photo ID competition.
Yeah.
So while Matt's getting that ready, I'll just again encourage you, please subscribe. We've got over 100 subscribers now on YouTube. So I know, kind of about 50% of people don't, have a chat subscription for YouTube. Generally works through the Google one, as Matt said. If you do subscribe and hit the little bell thing, then you'll get notifications of everything that's going on. We're obviously getting more proficient at getting word out, and Matt made a big breakthrough for the last talk of how to actually kind of preview the fact that it was happening, so we can have a link there. So yeah, anyway, Matt, off you go with your quiz tonight.
So basically all this is just some pictures I've taken over the last month, so that kind of gives you a bit of a clue what sort of birds we're looking for. And obviously it's all stuff local. I live in North Colchester, so it's within a 5 mile radius from my home. Now what we're going to do, there's 8 pictures in total. We're going to do them in 4 pairs, and then we'll just have some results at the end, and it's only for fun. No prizes, but if you want to put your guesses down the side, you're more than welcome. And here we go. So the first pair should be on your screen about now. Can we see those?
Yep.
We've got number 1, number 2. I'll leave them up there just for a few seconds. Obviously they're cropped pictures, so you kind of might have to squint a little bit and use your imagination, but you'll see the full pictures a bit later on. So that's number 1 and number 2.
So if you know what they are, then kind of get the message in the YouTube comments. So if you're a Facebookite, I'm on Messenger here, so I'll see your comments on that.
Can we have a go, Matt?
No, that'd be cheating. You're too good. Right, I'm going to stop the screen share there. There you go.
Okay, 1 and 2.
And we'll have a quick recap of each one before you see the answers later on. So yeah.
And there'll be more coming later, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
Good stuff. Over to you, Steve.
Yeah, well, what's happening in your local patches, chaps? I think the cold weather's the main focus for the birds at the moment. Well, was, for me personally, I've been out on the patch. So what I've done is I've set a 5 mile, as Matt said, 5 mile radius of the house. So I've just drawn a circle, and I'm just birding public footpaths, going exercise walk, and just going out. And obviously with the snow, it brings in lots of birds from the continent. So I've got a few photos of so hopefully you can see these.
Yep.
So this was a
monitor. Oh yeah.
This was a flock of, or a wisp of snipe that I took on the local patch. This is like a 10-minute walk from home. This is on an old rubbish tip, and I flushed these birds. They were just on a small pond, which was really good bird to see. And I know a lot of people have been reporting snipe and other waders moving around on their local patches. And then here's another wisp of snipe, different flock, about 3 or 4 miles further away. But yeah, 28 I had, was phenomenal number for our patch, because certainly where I am in sort of West Colchester, we haven't got much wetland habitat. I wish I was just a bit nearer Abberton, but so be it. So yeah, lots of snipe. And then I went for a walk on Monday, and the EBS secretary Emma Robinson had found a great white egret on Saturday, but I couldn't get there. But I found 2 birds on Monday morning. This particular bird flew right over me. And again, a lot of people have been seeing great white egrets in sort of North Essex the past week or so. So this was a real highlight.
Yeah,
and then,
while you're talking about those, Steve, just very briefly, why do you think that is? Because I mean, there have been great whites seen all over the place, inland as well. They've literally scattered almost.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that. I mean, it could be the fact is we've always got a few at Abberton, you know, and it's been cold, so maybe Abberton froze and it's just dispersed them, or could quite likely be that they're from the continent, you know, France, somewhere like that, and they've just come over. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw one on Sunday afternoon fly over me down at East Tilbury, and it coincided with the just before high tide, and I wondered whether it had actually been on the salt water along the edge of the river and come off. It seemed to be looking for somewhere to land, but yeah, it
could well be. Yeah, it's interesting wherever they come from. And then I've got this shot here, shows a flock of linnets. So this is like literally a 3 or 4 minute walk from the home, and there's a strip the farmers have left there for pheasants, and it's got lots of millet in there and other crops. And the numbers of linnet have just been building up and building up. And I took this photograph on the first snowy day, and I reckon there was like 500 birds in that shot, just as a rough guess. And then obviously having a bit of spare time, I sort of, excuse my colouring in, but I spent some time counting each bird, and I got to a total of 1,023.
Wow.
Which, and as you can see from the shot, there's still some missing off the left-hand side. So yeah, phenomenal. So that was me. And then last night, again, a little tip off from a couple of members, Nico Devereaux and his mum Sue. I'm just about to see in the middle here, I've got a pair of little owls.
Fantastic.
It's not the best photograph in the world. It was taken almost at dark last night. But I haven't seen little owls on my patch for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so this male was calling last night, and the female came in to him and displayed, and yeah, fantastic stuff. So that's me.
That's fantastic. Should I go next? Because as I said I had the great white egret, but we had a bit of owl action down here as well, down in the south of the county, East Tilbury. So Elaine came home on Friday morning and said, "Oh, I've seen a barn owl."
Whoa!
This was just before 8 o'clock, and she's using my old bridge camera now, and she just started to get used to it. And this is her first photograph, and she said, "Oh, it's not very good because it was flying away from me." It's as good as any barn owl shot I've got, I think.
She sounds like a photographer already.
I think for the first picture, that's a brilliant effort. That's absolutely fantastic.
That's amazing.
Really good.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, lovely. Over the Thameside Nature Park. And we've actually seen about 5 barn owls, we think, are separate birds, 2 pairs. And last night we had also a little owl calling. Couldn't get any sight of it, Steve, but we had a pair calling. And as we were listening to them, it was just after dark, but just enough light in the western sky to see a couple of figures that appeared to be barn owls flying high up, head to head, but circling round. They weren't kind of talon grasping or anything like that, but there was definitely an interaction going on. Never seen anything like it before. It was high up, and they are over a known territory. So I wondered whether it was the pair kind of, you know, again, bonding or something, or whether another bird had come in and they were just, you know, kind of escorting it over and away. It was really interesting to see.
Wow.
But the other big news for me is this bird, which was in the garden. We finally got a field fair. I better not show you Elaine's picture of the field fair, which kind of, you know, just brought it down kind of to a normal photographer level. But this was a beauty. This one I'd been chasing around trying to get a photograph on, and he came into the pyracantha. Do you remember the sparrowhawk with the big pyracantha bush behind? Well, he's not left much of it. That was after 2 days worth of feeding on the pyracantha berries. That's another bird just kind of along at one of the local farms by friend Adrian Webb. Thanks for that, Adrian.
Beautiful.
And I'll come back to that later, but I've got one other thing to show you, and this is this Brent Goose. There's a new scrape at East Tilbury and land that's going to be kind of left to nature there. That's going to become a potentially high tide roost if we get the levels and everything right. But this Brent Goose was on there at the weekend with about a dozen Canada geese, and that's my 100th bird on the patch in my 3-mile circle, really, from home. So how are you keeping a patch list and number, Matt, or are you just kind of letting them come?
No, I'm not really. I mean, I'm just kind of going out and enjoying the birds as and when I find them. I've started using a different method to record sightings this year, which again we're going to have a quick chat about later on. I mean, I've got a couple of pictures if I can find them. Here we go. So this was before the really snowy weather set in, and this is a jackdaw, but it's a Nordic jackdaw, so it's a subspecies which is more prevalent on the continent, and we do get them over here, but this one's got quite nice sort of striking white collar, which you don't get on the normal UK species. So that was quite nice to see that, and it showed really nicely. And then I think this was on the same day, actually. I kind of turned round and there was a kestrel. And I know it's only a kestrel, but I think kestrels are lovely. They're gorgeous. And this was hovering really close to the pavement, completely oblivious to me. And it you know, went down. It didn't catch anything that I saw. It kind of flew off empty clawed. But it was just a really nice thing to sort of stand and watch so close by. Then over the cold weather, I've been going to Ardley Reservoir fairly frequently. And although this isn't a great picture because it was right over the other side of the reservoir, it just made me laugh because you've got a goosander obviously standing on the frozen surface of the reservoir. And it only stood there for a few moments, and I think it thought better of it and scrabbled and managed to take off and flew off and met up with the rest of the flock. But I just thought that was quite a nice image regarding the cold weather that we've had recently. Then again at Ardley Reservoir, this was yesterday morning, I think, before work. So normally if I leave home early enough, I'll stop somewhere near the reservoir because I work in Ipswich, and I'll take a bit of a walk just along both causeways, you know, and see if I can see something. And lo and behold, I managed to spot a great white egret. So whether it's the same one I had last month with that massive fish, if you remember, I don't know. Probably not, I would have thought, because there's been so many moving around recently. I expect that's probably a different bird. But again, it was nice to see that. And then back home, I think this was the day after the snow, so it was still quite thick on the ground. And this is after I'd put the apples out that I mentioned. And again, not the best picture in the world. My camera has trouble focusing. I don't know why. If I'm indoors and I'm kind of shooting through the window, I think the difference in light between indoors and outdoors confuses the camera. So I've actually had better results by sticking it out the window, but I don't really want to do that because it could scare the birds off. But obviously a male blackcap, and just shows, you can just see the big lump of apple that it's about to devour. So really worthwhile putting those out. And looked up, and on my little tree in the bottom of the garden was a fieldfare. And again, I don't think I've ever had fieldfare before in my garden, and I had 2 that morning. So again, that was the best snap I managed to get, but really lovely to see a fieldfare in the garden. And then finally, I had about a dozen redwing, which again, very showy. They were in and out of there's got a small bush at the bottom of the garden with red berries. Don't know what it's called, apologies. But they were in and out of that, and making a little bit of noise as well. But it's just beautiful to see them in the garden. And it just shows you, a day or 2 after the snow, I've got 3 species there that I wouldn't normally see in my little garden. And they've all obviously come in because I put food out, and they want to find food to survive. And I think the next one is my final picture. Now, I don't know if you remember last month, we were talking about lists and what we can and can't count. So I'm pretty sure you guys said I can have anything I want on my list. So I'm desperate at the end of the year. I managed to spot these 2 species at Ardley Reservoir. So here we go. I don't know what you make of those.
Oh, crikey.
But I'm sorry, they're going on the list. They're running wild. As far as I'm concerned, that's my list up by 2.
Does that chicken go under Rhode Island red or chicken?
I don't know. Delicious, I think, is what I thought. There you go.
KFC.
Right.
You do realise you had 3 species in those pictures?
Did I?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I didn't see Rod Hall.
Oh, not a roller.
Yay!
Oh my goodness. Actually, that's a life tick then. Brilliant. Thanks, Steve.
Quick for the night so far.
Oh, brilliant.
I've actually had some feedback, guys. Louise Rumsby has got back to us on Facebook and has got definitely 2 very, very good answers. I don't know if Ben's kind of behind that, but we're probably due another pair of birds, Matt, aren't we?
Right. Oops. Okay, any second now, I promise.
Anybody who's joining us late, we've had a couple of birds. You will be able to see them all maybe later on, but we're having a look at kind of pinpoint pictures of birds and trying to guess what they are.
This is 3 and 4, so there we go.
Now.
Okay.
Maybe getting it. What I tried to do is the one on the left on each picture is possibly a little bit easier, and the one on the right is possibly a little bit harder. But obviously, it depends on what you think, really.
The one on the left got dandruff.
Yeah.
What looks weird.
That's the head and shoulders bird.
Ah, yeah, it's head and shoulders. I see.
A couple more seconds. Hopefully, everyone's got those.
Very good. Thanks, Matt.
There you go. Thank you. Just reading comments. Got a couple of comments on YouTube. So, Mel, hi Mel. He said, "I'm sure Matt was happy for the Essex birding publication arrived, as he seems to have taken this issue over. Ha ha." If I can just explain, I wrote a couple of articles for this issue. Yeah, there's a couple of bits in there for myself. But no, I'm not going to take it over. I'm probably going to give it a rest next time. Nick Lay said he had a male tawny owl calling behind the Georgian Dragon a couple of weeks ago, Steve.
Very interesting. Yeah, nice one, Nick.
Surrey, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and we've been monitoring that tawny. We've not had a tawny here since 1990 calling, but there's one kind of definitely keeps kind of coming and going.
Interesting.
Excellent.
Actually, last night when I was coming back from the Little Owls, or we were coming back from the Little Owls, we had a pair of tawny owls in our local sewage works that were really vocal at like 6 o'clock last night. And then we got back to the house and there was a male calling just close to the house. So it's a great time of year. You know, they're displaying and so yeah, keep an eye out for them.
Well, I'm a bit jealous because I've not seen one owl at all yet this year.
Well, it'll come.
There's still time.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you got those pics, Matt, from Nick? Because also Nick's again neighbour of mine, and he put some pictures up of waders he had over his house, which again kind of I thought was brilliant, but also kind of griped me because if he saw them from his house, I'd been able to see them from my house, and I didn't. So Mr. Godwick Garden tick, but I think other people have sent a few pictures in as well.
They have, yeah. I mean, basically, I I hope some of the people watching tonight are watching and received an email from us. So at the bottom of the email, we did make a suggestion that if you had any questions or wish to contribute any pictures, you can send them across to us via email. And we have had a few replies. So thank you very much to all those people that responded. That's really good. So I'm just going to share those with everyone. So first up, hopefully you can see on the screen a yellow-browed warbler. Now, I must confess, I didn't realise that we do occasionally have wintering yellow-broweds. So that's something I've learned. And this bird appeared in Peter Newton's garden out in Little Clacton. Wow. And he's actually a ringer, and he had some nets up, and he was fortunate enough to be able to put a ring on the bird. And Simon Cox was also kind of nearby, so obviously socially distancing. He managed to get a picture of it as well. So what a cracking little bird. You know, what a great bird to have in your garden. And I think that was around from the 21st of Jan through to the 23rd, if I'm correct. Wow. Next up, we've got a picture by Ed Keeble, who does all his birding, as far as I'm aware, along the Stour. And this again was obviously just after that really bad weather hit. So I've called it shoveling snow. That's a really cheesy name. I'll distance Ed from that before I start. But obviously it's a male shoveler. And you can see, I mean, the you know, these are like icebergs almost. Yeah. It's incredible. I've not quite seen the river like that. So I don't know what you guys think of that.
That's amazing.
It's stunning.
It's a shallow estuary, isn't it? I've not been up there. You know, I went up for that surf scooter and saw a beautiful, beautiful area. But if that is kind of the estuary area, that's amazing. I know it really was cold.
And you can imagine this poor shoveler is just looking for food. You know, I mean, as all the birds and animals are. Yeah. It must be horrible. Which brings me on to the next picture, also by Ed Keeble. And this is a picture of a couple of red shanks he took again on the edge of the Stour, and you can see their feathers. I mean, I presume where they've been roosting, the feathers must have been just in water, and you've got, you know, big balls of ice on their feathers, which the one on the right, bless it, is obviously trying to preen off. So it just must be really tricky because these birds don't weigh much anyway, and you know, to have to try and get around and feed and fly with ice all over your feathers must be really tricky. So fingers crossed these two little fellas pulled through and made it. The weather didn't stay bad for too many days, did it? So hopefully they're okay. But this is the best picture, I think, from Ed. And I've obviously it's a snowy owl, as you can see. So this was actually a picture. Ed found this in the snow one morning, and obviously it's an imprint of a barn owl, we think. And barn owls, and I think all owls probably, can hear the prey running around tunnels underneath the snow. So you've got a little vole under the snow running around. The barn owl can hear that, locates it, obviously with its big disc-like face, and plunges through the snow. So you can kind of see the wing here, and I presume you've got a talon here, and I guess the face went in somewhere here. But I just think that's a fantastic picture, cracking picture.
What a record.
Yeah. Then we had a few more pics as well. So this is the one you were talking about, Steve. So we've got Nick Lay down in Thurrock. He kindly gave me permission to put this up tonight. And this is black-tailed godwits, and you don't really think there's anything particularly unusual about it. But if you look at the pictures, normally when a black-tailed godwit flies, it's got its feet trailing past the tail, as you can see on this one on the bottom left here. And in fact, I think that's one of the ways you can distinguish them in flight from bar-tail, because bar-tail, the feet don't stick out, if I'm correct. But you can see most of the birds haven't got their feet extended, and in fact they're actually tucked into the breast feathers. I don't know if you can make it out here on the pictures.
Yeah.
But we think that's probably because they're cold, and they're kind of tucking their feet up just to try and keep out the cold. So again, fascinating picture, you know, and if Nick hadn't taken these pictures, you wouldn't notice that feature. So yeah, fantastic. Always good to have your camera with you if you can.
Yep.
Then we had Andy Field over on Mersey. Again, I'm a bit jealous because I've only ever seen 2 or 3 woodcocks. So woodcock in a ditch, which is brilliant in itself. But then on the right, you've got a couple of woodcocks and a snipe, and obviously feeding in what looks like good sunlight. So again, indication of the weather really. When there's so much snow on the ground and ice on the ground, the woodcocks can't feed. Normally they feed at night time. They're feeding in boggy, damp areas. You know, you might hear them, but you're not going to see them, or unlikely to see them. And a daytime view is this one on the left here, or as I got at Ardley, just a brown blur flying away at 1 million miles an hour. So to see them out in the open like this during the day is, again, quite unusual. And I guess they were just trying to catch up on their feeding. Next up, I love these pictures. This is Mo emailed these across to me yesterday. And these are taken out near Wivenhoe and starling murmuration. And I've got no idea how many are there. I mean, I had a couple of months ago, I did a picture of starling that I actually dot counted, and there was 2,000. Looking at this, there's got to be 10 to 12,000, maybe more, I reckon. Loads of birds there, and
a lot of birds there.
They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So thanks very much to Mo for sending those pictures in. And finally, this morning, Wynne and David Simmons down in Chelmsford sent these pictures through. So you've got a nice little flock of greenfinch with a separate one that I set on the picture just there, and a little wren on the left. And these were taken in Admiral's Park in Chelmsford. And they said that the local council down there has actually put an application in to get Admiral's Park status changed to a local nature reserve status. So fingers crossed that will go through, because that would be really nice to have a natural area in the middle of the town that's protected. And that's it. So thank you everyone for sending those pictures in. Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, brilliant. It just shows kind of, we had over the weekend 2 woodcock just on a walk where, you know, you've never seen them there before, just kind of in a hedgerow in some boggy ground that was, you know, they were obviously just able to kind of try and probe there. And then the following day in the same area, we had a jack snipe and a snipe. So in 2 days, woodcock, jack snipe and snipe. I don't think we'll be repeating that. But then there was almost kind of a tendency, because if the woodcock kind of flew and shot down fairly kind of, you know, close, to go and try and get a little bit nearer. But I just felt the birds are just suffering so hard for them.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't want to kind of just stress it anymore just by trying to get in there and getting a photograph or something like that. Just remember the moment and the record, and maybe there'll be another time where they're in front of a hide or a better time of year. And similarly with the owls as well. I know kind of there's been photographs of owls, but, you know, if there was last night, there was owls hunting around where we were. And I thought, I'm just going to stay on a concrete slab that's not a prime area where the owls are hunting. Let them hunt around me rather than go and stand right in the area of the marsh where they are.
Yeah.
You know, just, and if they come to me, great. So I've got a distant shot. It's not the best shot, but, you know, unless you've got a hide and can do it absolutely kind of without any concern to that animal, then please, particularly in these kinds of conditions, you know, 100%. Give it a chance. Thankfully, 5 barn owls in our area that we watch are all, we've seen them after the storm, after the snow, which is good news, but it's not the case, you know, on all occasions, is it?
Not at all.
We need to talk field guides.
Yeah.
Oh, just before we do, and as we're getting our gear ready, guys, Ben has sent some feedback. His best that he's seen this year is a first winter kittiwake he had on the river in his 5-mile walk from home. Siskins, I know he's had a lot of lesser redpoll, about 20 lesser redpoll down on the Chafford Gorges Reserve. It's good for them. He's had a lapwing as well, kind of locally, and 100 plus, Brent Goose as well, like me, 100 plus fieldfare from the garden in Chafford 100, really down the lakeside there. He also got jack snipe at Rainham, because that's within his walk area last week as well. Well done, Ben, and it is him who's also looking good for questions 3 and 4, Ben. So field guides.
Well, should we do the next 2
photographs?
Should we do the next 2 pictures?
Yeah, go for it, Matt.
Yeah, if I can find them. If you get your books ready.
Books ready.
Hold on.
Hi,
so, pictures 5 and 6 we're on now, I think.
What was a teaser?
Well, that book looks good. Right, you should hopefully be able to see them anytime now. So 5 and 6. Again, don't forget these were taken in the last month.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So again, zoomed in pictures. Apologies, obviously, but squint, sit back a bit, and hopefully you might be able to get an idea of what it is, or if not, just make it up. 3, 2, 1.
And they're gone.
Back in the room. Yeah. Oh, that's definitely cheating, Steve.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So by looking at those, you did see that number 6 was a cuckoo.
Yeah.
I guess most of us have got the Collins Bird Guide. That's the kind of go-to, and generally the Birder's Bible of different eras, and that's good. But I personally like photographs, and this was a great book for me 10, 11 years ago when I got back into birding, which is a photographic field guide or book of birds, and all of the birds in there, I'll show you, photographs. And so I don't know, they just, for me, a photograph paints a little bit better picture than kind of an artist graphic. But more recently, Matt showed me this just before Christmas, and it instantly became on Elaine's Christmas list, which is the Britain's Birds, an identification guide to the birds of Great Britain and Ireland. And this too is photographic. So it's like Collins with different plumages, male and female, much more, kind of informative than the previous book. But this is a fantastic book. You can get it off eBay for about 13 quid. One of my neighbours on my Facebook local East Tilbury group asked me about bird field guides, and I told them this was a good one to get, and I think they're getting it. So that's what I would recommend for those of somebody who asked. And also, if you're in the field, I don't like to take a big field guide in a bag. This is a book that I carried around with me for a long time. Yeah. It's the Birdwatcher's Pocket Guide to Britain and Europe, not photographs, but similar to Collins type pictures of birds, and fits great in a pocket, just when you kind of want that extra kind of help. But then there's also an app, the Collins do an app on your phone that you can get, which I now use. So everything's on my phone. That's my contribution. Who's next?
Steve?
Do I go next? So obviously Collins is like the go-to field guide, but I'm quite a fan of this book. And it's by a Dutch guy called Niels van Duvendyk. So my pronunciation's shocking, but it's basically based on plumage. So the slight downside to it is it's got no illustrations in at all. So it's all text, and it does help if you know your bird topography. So your plumage and stuff like that. And Steve's got
this is the big.
Steve's got the
home version.
Bigger version. Yeah. So this is a really good book, really handy for picking out plumage details to ID your species. So that's a good one. And I've also got a couple of other books. I've got these two. I can't, my webcam, I've got to just find out these two. So this, there's a guy who's, the late Martin Garner was a great birder, and he wrote these two books. And they're just sort of challenging ID, really. It's confusion species. Just try and find, there's one on Asian tree warblers. There's lots, and there's QR codes. QR codes are becoming the way forward now. So you just got a mobile phone, scan the QR code, and you get much more information. So they're a really good couple of good books. It's autumn and winter, so they're really good. And then last week, I was very lucky that one of my customers treated me to this. It's a brand new book out.
So what's that called, Steve?
It's the Flight Identification to European Passerines. So it's the same publishers as your photographic British birds.
Yes, British birds.
Oh, flip a page.
Basically, all birds in flight. That's a shocking picture. Sorry. There we go.
That's good.
It's all birds in flight. And there's lots of photographs in there. God, I'm terrible with this webcam. But yeah, really, really good book. And I'm only just a little way through it, but it's fascinating. So I recommend that. Yeah, really, really good.
That looks really good. Yeah.
So what about you then, Matt?
Right. Well, I've got a couple to show you. So first of all, coming back to something that Steve Swinney said about the app, the Collins app. So yeah, I've got that on my phone as well. But one thing you didn't mention, it's got there are little video clips which can be useful, but they're more kind of ornate than anything else. But the sound, virtually every species on the app, you can press a button on the app and it'll actually play a song, a call, and some species have 3 or 4 different sounds recorded. So again, if you're out in the field and you think you recognize the sound and you can't quite remember, it's a really good way to remind yourself. Obviously keep the volume low if you're near the birds, put it near your ear. You know, don't use it to attract birds. You're not meant to be doing that. That's not what it's for. But it's a really good feature. Book-wise, I chose these two. So this one is the Helm Guide to Bird Identification. It's again for confusion species. So it doesn't have every species in, and again there's lots of text, but there are plenty of illustrations as well. And the idea is it kind of picks on confusion species, a bit like black and bar-tailed gobbet that you can see on the front there, and marsh tits and willow tits and so on. And it describes in pictures and also in words the things you should be looking for at different times of year as well, in different plumages. So that's quite a good book. And then the other one is a bit different. I picked this one up again off eBay, I think. So the Rspb British Bird Finder. So I'm not sure how up to date it is, but the idea is that if you want to find a particular bird, the page gives you a picture, it gives you a bit of information about the bird, but then it also tells you the months of the year you're likely to better see it, and it gives you an idea of locations as well. And then for species that are sort of inland species, it will also refer you to specific RSPB sites that you could maybe see the birds at. I don't know how in focus that is or not, but you get the general idea. So again, it's a really useful book if you're not, you know, if there's some species you want to target and you're not sure which months of the year or where to go to see them. That's a really nice book to have. But of course, the first book that I started out with was this one.
Oh.
Hey, good old Observance Book of Birds. And as you can see inside, the pictures are
black and white.
Fantastic. Yeah, lovely, brilliant. And some of them are even in colour. And this particular one was bought for me by my mummy.
Oh, that's the
old man. Yeah. So
what does she say to you?
Oh, I think it says to darling Matthew, a little present for you, lots of love, mummy, and there's about 1 million kisses.
And that was when, for your 40th?
And that was my 40th birthday, yeah. I think I was about 6 or something, 5 or 6, I think. But you can see it's been lovingly looked after. The binder fell off and I put masking tape down the back. But yeah, great little book.
That's so nice.
Nothing like a supportive mummy, is there?
Very true.
Good. Well, we've got some more feedback from Ben, who's looking good for 5. Not sure about 6. We'll see.
Okay,
it's a tricky one. We're ready for another one, Matt, in a minute.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Pete Dwyer on YouTube has said thank you to those people who have already used our additional payment methods on the website this week. So I know we've had a couple of new members, both with the Christian names Martin, or first name's Martin, sorry. Yeah, welcome to those. Now, any other new members that are watching tonight, or anyone that's not watched this before, welcome, of course. And Mel again has said, yes, Steve, the European Pastorines in Flight is a great book, and Soundscape's QR code for flight calls.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The QR codes, they open up a whole new world now, you know. Yeah.
So you scan it and you get the flight call play on your phone.
Yeah. Yep.
Brilliant. That's really good. Didn't know that. Right, yeah, let's go for the next 2 pictures. Well, the last 2 pictures, isn't it? So number 7 and 8.
Yeah,
right, now. Here we go.
7 and 8.
Hope we're all suitably excited. And there we go.
Okay.
Number 7, number 8.
Okay.
All right, so
yeah,
a couple more seconds on the screen. Hopefully everyone's got those.
Lovely. Well, there will be. We are going to do an opportunity for everybody to have a quick look through them all next time round. Matt, for any that have joined us late, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'll bring them up before we show the answers. Yeah.
But we had another question from Mick Woodruff in the week regarding bird recording. We've talked about the society being a bird recording society and how to do that on the website. But yeah, kind of he's asking us what we do personally in terms of how we keep our sightings. What do you do, Matt?
Well, I'll be absolutely honest with you. I mean, I've only well, I say only, it's 5 years now. So I've always been interested in birds, as you can tell from my Observer's Book of Birds, but I've only been out bird watching and a member of the society for the last 4 or 5 years. So to start with, I had a notebook and I was making notes and I was putting them all in a different book when I got home or on a spreadsheet on the computer. But I must admit that got a little bit kind of time consuming and I sort of stopped. I then was using the website to record all my sightings, the EBWS website. And then I was persuaded to go on Twitter. So I was putting kind of decent birds I'd seen, so to speak, although they are all decent, of course, but maybe the more unusual species I was putting on Twitter and still using the website. But as of the 1st of Jan this year, I've been using BirdTrack, which is the BTO method of recording. And what I've found, and I think, Steve, you're going to talk about this in a little while, but I've only been using it a short while, but it keeps a record of everything that you enter, and you can then download and get your own data from the records you've submitted. So I'll leave that to Steve to show everyone, but I'm finding that good, and I'm using it on my phone, and you literally set up your own sites, and when you get to where you're going, you just start a sighting going, you add the species, it takes a second or two to add a species in, and then you can just upload them on the fly, and it's really good, and you can go back in and change them if you forget something or want to make any changes. So yeah, that's what I use.
What do you use, Steve?
Well, to be fair, like Matt, I used to, I've been birding a long time, and I've got loads of notebooks downstairs with all my records in, going back years and years. But I mean, I just used the EBS website, to be honest, Steve and Matt. I've been sending in records to the society for 30 odd years now. So I put all my information on the website that goes straight to the county recorder for use in the bird report. And then with our website, you can search your sightings and look back at what you've recorded. And so that's what I use. It's quite straightforward.
Good stuff. Yeah, you can actually go through, can't you, kind of all your own sightings and then, kind of copy them down. They're in a format that you can copy into a spreadsheet itself. For those of you, say, kind of interested, that's that's going to work at all. It isn't. But on the phone, BirdTrack just kind of is a great app that you can just kind of use your data, and that's what I use. But I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to data and stuff. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Thought you were just a geek, Steve. So
sorry?
Thought you were just a geek.
So here's my a kind of a photo of my records here. You seen this? I don't know whether you can read anything, but all this, most of this now comes in from, I started before I was using BirdTrack. So I used, some of the codes that they have, numeric codes of birds internationally. So they kind of will go in sort in taxonomical order, because that's always a challenge when you've got a spreadsheet. But here's a species name and scientific name and counts. And then I have stuff like comments for descriptions, where it was located, age, sex, photo. I kind of am starting to get into kind of doing that as well, because I want to kind of look back and try and kind of get trends. I'm into kind of forecasting forward. What might I see? Where should I be going on that particular day? I'm a bit of a hunter. It comes from my fishing background, and I want to kind of read the field, so to speak, and kind of make the most of my day. And the way I do that and pull this data now is I enter, like Matt says, on the phone, the sightings that I see during the day, then go to the BirdTrack website, which is what this looks like. And here, by putting in, you can either put a year or some date. So I'll do it for a month. I'll just record on my phone. Then at the end of the month, I'll archive all this down to my own computer. So I have it myself, as well as BirdTrack BTO have it. And by the way, I should have said bird track is not one of the surveys. It's not a recognised survey. So this is not one that's exempt from the rules. If you are, you know, kind of approached by the police, it's the web survey, the breeding bird survey, and also the nest recording survey, and obviously ringing as well. But yeah, so you put the dates in, and then you kind of create output over here, and that will actually create, give you the options of what you want to download. You can keep it simple, just with the name and the number, but I take it all, being the geek that I am, and that produces a spreadsheet that downloads to my computer that looks like this. And so we have grey lag geese and Suffolk Lackford Lakes. This is in 2020, pre-lockdown, those days. But, you know, remember that trip, Lackford Lakes? That was one of the EBS trips, Steve.
Yeah.
Field trip.
So those records are on there last year. That was a bus trip, coach trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I can take each of those columns and basically cut and paste it straight into my data. And then what I do is I look at these week numbers, which are generated from the month. And I've noticed the bird observatories use this, something I picked up from the Skokan Bird Observatory. They work in terms of week numbers, because I'm interested in what week might I see the first migrating chiffchaff, which is what this page is here. So in week 12, which is round about the middle of March, 19th of March in 2019, 16th of March in 2020 there, look.
What a wonderful
then it was the 7th of April in 2018. I saw my first singing, you know, inward bound chiffchaff. That's what I'm interested in. And where it really becomes pertinent, even this week, we have a Rookery survey that Howard has actually helped us launch, Howard Vaughan. I actually found that I counted the Rookery nearest to me. Let me stop the share. And I counted the Rookery in our village in Linford, and I counted 27 nests there. And it concerned me because I was sure there were more last year. And I went back to my records and I saw last year I counted 63 active nests in March last year. And I'd noticed there'd been some tree felling and obviously some storm damage as well. And that's where, for me, keeping my own data can help me, because I immediately got onto the people that are actually, I thought were managing that particular woodland and not, which actually council owned. And I'm going to follow that up and find out, you know, whether I can bring some influence there. So that's how I record.
Brilliant. Sorry, I was just trying to see if my camera would show the app, but it doesn't. But yeah, no, fantastic. We've got a question
kind of just show you. Let me pull up, unless anybody else has got it, the Rookery survey.
While you're doing that, we've got a question from Jerry. So hi, Jerry.
Go for it.
Jerry.
Come through on the phone. And this is actually a really good question. Do we think that electronic guides for many countries will overtake hard copy books? Now, one thing that is interesting is there's an app called Merlin, which you can actually upload a photograph to, and it will identify the bird for you. It doesn't work perfectly, but it kind of works better than you'd think. And Swarovski have incorporated that into a monocular. It's kind of a big chunky thing. And I think the idea is the monocular pairs with your phone, and if you're watching a bird, it takes a picture of the bird when you press a button, sends the picture to your phone via Bluetooth, and then the app on the phone tells you what the bird is. Now, is this the future? I hope not, to be fair.
Job.
Well, yeah. And I think half the fun of it is trying to work out what the stuff is that you're looking at. But electronic guides, what was the question? Do we think electronic guides are going to take over, maybe?
I think so. I'm, you know, kind of from a technology background. I've actually seen prototypes of imaging equipment whereby you can actually look at something and it will actually put it straight on the screen there through your viewer, what that actual subject is. I think that's coming. And the other interesting side of things is more on sound. Already, you've got these amazing apps on phones. There's one called Shazam that literally you can be, well, you used to be able to be in a pub, you can't now, but you can have a little bit of music playing. You can press the button, it will listen to it, and within 10 bars, it will tell you what song it is, when it was recorded, who recorded, what version, da 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 da, which is absolutely amazing, the algorithms. And what I think is going to be happening, and we're already working on, is you'll go out into the field walking, and the birds that you hear, they'll automatically come up on your phone in terms of what they are, because it will recognize them in the same premise. You might have to plug a kind of a special microphone in just to get a better, kind of broader sound. But I think that's coming. But yeah, I definitely think, as in all, there's still that sense of people want reference material and reference books, but a lot of the book world is going online, as I know we are for the society, in terms of we're digitizing bird reports and all our material, so people can access it that way. And certainly a phone in your pocket with all that data is much easier to carry than a rucksack full of books.
What about you, Steve? Do you think you could...
I'm sort of torn slightly, but I think if you're in out in the field somewhere, you've got to have power to your phone all the time, so you've got to keep it charged, where a book in your bag or your pocket is fine. And if it's wet and grotty weather, okay, a book could get wet, but your phone will get ruined. So I think there's a case for like both, really.
Well, what, I think there's something nice about a book, though. It's a bit like, reading on Kindle versus actually reading a novel. It's just something about having the book in your hand and turning the pages and looking at the pictures on a bird book. And I mean, I think half the bird books that I've got behind me there and up there as well, I don't take out in the field. I'm sure it's the same for most of us. But when you get a new book, and in fact, Steve, we've already said that one, the Passerines one. Hang on a minute. I've got this one. My other half bought me this for Christmas, which is all the birds of the world. And basically, it's literally just a book of pictures and QR codes. But it's every species ever seen in the world. Obviously, I'm never going to see any of them all, but it's a cracking book just to sit and look at. And I think that's the point. An app is great, portable. It's in your pocket. It can do sounds and movies, but it's not a book. I think books are better. We got some more comments on YouTube, by the way, guys. So Martin Gathercole, I think he was one of the new people that joined this week. And he said, "Hi guys, enjoying the stream. Just joined, and payment details on the website worked really well." So thanks, Martin. Well done.
Thank you.
Tim Hayward has said, "The other good thing about using BirdTrack is that the discipline forces you to check everything that you see, and then he finds that he's a bit more likely to spot the unusual stuff." So good point. I mean, I try and do complete lists, because I think, again, you can do a complete list or a casual list from what I've seen. Casual list is where you might enter the more unusual species that you've noticed. A complete list, the idea is you try and spot every species that you can see. You don't have to put in numbers, you can just put it as present, but it does make you look at every bird that's out there. So I think that's a really good point. And we've got Jan Lewis. "I still have my grandmother's Spotting Birds" by Jurislav Spurhanzi, I think that is. Jurislav Spurhanzi Juris, and Edmund Burke from 1964. But still looking for the black woodpecker on a page 110. I don't know if was that like a little hardback book with a red cover, I think, and a picture of a bird. I can't remember what the bird was, but I'm sure my nan used to have that. I remember that as a kid. And we've got Mo Jackson. "Does BirdTrack use lots of space on your phone?" No, I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. And the data that you keep is really kind of small as well, package on a modern phone, and you upload it so that it's continually going.
Yeah. I mean, the idea you
not
can have
intrusive either.
I think you can have lists on the go, but the idea is when you've completed your list, you just press a button and it uploads it and it's gone. So one of the options you might want to consider is you can actually have it where it's tracking your location with that location thing where it runs off a GPS. That'll use a bit more battery if it's on some phones particularly. I tend to have that off. But if you want to kind of it to know where you are and you can identify your location that way, then you can use that.
And a few people use eBird as well, don't they now? It's a very similar sort of thing for recording. It's supposed to be very popular.
I think it's going to really kind of take the lid off the amount of records. We heard about the Rspb Big Garden Birdwatch, 7 million compared to 3 million last year. I wonder what it's going to be on BirdTrack. Kind of our our county recorder, Mick Tracy, will be telling us that information because he sits there in the firing line when it all gets
pulling his hair
done
out
in.
with recordings. Yeah.
Let me talk about this survey here. Got on the screen, guys?
Yep.
Look at my monitors over here, so excuse me looking to the left here. But this is the Rookery Survey, and we actually have the button up there underneath the Join Renew membership on our website homepage page as well. And yeah, the information's all clear as to how to actually go about that. We just want you to name a location. That's your name for the particular place. Doesn't have to be anything tied into anything else, but 6-figure grid reference, account, and observation. So how many rooks nest, not the rooks, but how many nests, and then any comments you want to make in the observations box. Click to submit your records here, and there's the screen where you put your email, location, grid reference, and nest count and observations. And we even have here a grid reference finder. So you'll get a map of the UK if you click that, and then you just kind of tap to go in. It's a bit slow, but you get the idea. And then when you get in close, and I'll leave it at that for time, you just right click on your mouse, and if you look at the left hand side, it'll come up with, well, it's on the right, there's the grid reference. There's your 6-figure grid reference that you need for your box. So if you haven't got a geography O level, then or GCSE, then no worries, simple as that. Please help us track and the rookeries. And the other thing I've said is, even if you used to know there was a rookery in your area, if there's none there, record that. We'd like to know that information, or suitable woodland that you think, you know, is particularly near arable fields where the rooks would feed. There's a suitable site and there's none there yet, then anything like that, please record it, and Howard's going to hopefully put a report together for us from that.
Anyone who's subscribed to our mailing list as well, email list, will get an email regarding the rookery. Should be sometime over the weekend, just to give you a reminder and the links as to how to record. We've got another message from Mel Shepherd Wells. This is for you, Steve G. Do you record birds for other county recorders when you're on your travels? So Norfolk or Kent or wherever.
Do you know what? That's a really good point, because no, I don't. I'll be really honest with you, I don't, and I should do. No, thanks, Mel, for making me.
Well, maybe I don't know. Have you've got the bird track app on your phone, haven't you? So
yeah, do you know what? Well, I haven't actually. I've got it on my iPad, but I certainly, yeah, maybe I'll consider start doing that.
Yeah.
It's very valuable, because all the records are very important wherever you are. So
yeah.
So cheers, Mel, for shaming me into doing that. No, it's a good point. Good point.
Right.
Okay.
So where are we going next? Are we going to do?
I think
Steve's up now, I think.
Me.
Do you want to run through the 8 head to head, or do you want Steve next?
I think we'll do Steve next, shall we?
Yeah.
If you haven't kind of already heard Steve's virtual talk from Finland and Norway and that area, then please do on the website. He did a brilliant job 2 weeks ago.
Thank you.
But Matt and Steve stole the show, and I came back to find there was like this little musical ditty now at the front of our videos. And so I thought, Steve's getting used to that. I thought, well, I'm sorry, if Matt can get on the fiddle, and I think I might have to kind of come up with something.
Oh no! Where's the mute button? Hold on, mute. Where's mute?
He's on mute. He's not going to play.
We might want Steve on mute here.
Don't worry, I can cut this bit afterwards, Steve. Don't worry.
You ready? You ready, Matt? 1,
Go for it.
2, 3, 4. Over to you, Steve.
Very good.
Good night, everyone. I'm gone.
How can you follow that, Steve?
I can't. I cannot follow that. That was really good. Man of many talents.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So, I've forgotten what I'm doing now. This is rubbish.
Put you right off.
Put me right off. So,
Put
hopefully
everybody off the dinner.
Hopefully you can all see that. So, here we've got a lovely male brambling that was So this was taken in Hatfield Peveril in one of our members' gardens, Ken Hudgell, and he's had several bramblings in his garden recently. And if you look on its left leg there, you can see a ring. So over the last couple of weeks, Ken's been watching his bramblings, and then another bird turned up, and another male brambling, and this one's got a ring on its right leg. And this just got us to thinking really about ringing, really, and observations. So Ken had his bramblings, and then it's not a great shot, but Sean Nixon photographed this rock pipit at the Hythe in Colchester. And if you can see there on its right leg, it's got a green colour ring. So I thought I'd just cover, just for a few minutes tonight, about ringing and how to submit your records for ringing. So, and this is what a picture that I took of a great white egret in November that was at Abberton. Again, it had a colour ring on its leg. So, examples of colour ringing. So I've used 4 examples here. So top left-hand corner, we've got a marsh harrier with a green wing tag. Then bottom left, we've got a black-tailed godwit with colour rings. And then bottom right, we've got a bar-tailed godwit with colour rings and a colour flag. And then top right-hand corner, we've got some grey lag geese. That was actually taken in Iceland, but with neck collars. So this is all something that bird watchers, we can all look for and then record. Doesn't matter which county it's in either. So the best way of, if you spot a bird like this, there's a brilliant website that's on the screen here, www.uring.org, and that will take you to a page that you see pretty much like this, how to report rings. So if you see a bird with a metal ring, like Ken did, you can click on that, or a closed ring, which is in the middle section, for like pigeons and stuff like that, racing pigeons. Or if you see a bird with a coloured ring or a coloured tag, then you can click on that. Really important. I mean, Ken did a wonderful job because he managed to take lots of photographs of his bramblings, and he pieced together the number to make up the bird. So by sending that information off, you often get a very detailed ringing report back. So this is a report for Ken's bramblings. So as you can see there, I'll just make it a little bit bigger if I can, just to so yeah, so his bramblings, the first brambling was rung in Norway, which is really interesting, in 2020. So you get this wonderful information back if you spot a ring bird. So that's for Ken's brambling, and his other, and then this is his other brambling. So again, this was rung in Staffordshire in 2016, and it hasn't been seen since. And so it turned up in Hatfield Peveril. So amazing information that you can get back from the ringers. And Sean Nixon's rock pipit was again Norwegian. And then the great white egret that I photographed was from Lithuania.
Oh.
So just by using that Uring website, entering your details of where you've seen the bird, and for things like, for us in Essex, you've got lots of black-tailed godwits that have colour rings, and places like Heybridge, Fingering Hoe, you know, the Stour Estuary, great place to look for colour rings. So that just gives you a little brief insight in how, you know, and I'll just go back to that page again, just for anyone who wants to make a note of it.
www.euring.org.
Yeah, really good website. And then you say, enter as much information as you possibly can, and you should get some information back.
That must be quite rewarding for the ringer themselves as well, when they get the information back from the sighting, to know the bird's still out there and to find out where it's gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember reading a report, I can't think, was it last year or maybe a year before, where there's a guy, he rung a sedge warbler in, I think it was like Wales or somewhere, and then he went on holiday to do some ringing in like Africa somewhere, and he caught the same sedge warbler.
No.
Yeah, I think it was sedge warbler or reed warbler, but yeah,
Chances of that.
yeah, amazing. So yeah, and it's something that we can all do, you know, while you're out birding. I mean, Ken did a remarkable job reading the metal ring. I mean, that's not normal, but colour rings, look out for them.
Yeah.
Was it you that told me the story of the lesser black-backed gull that it frequented somebody's garden regularly, and it was a ringed bird, and they reported it, and I think it kind of got so used to them it pecked on the patio doors to get food, and then it went one day, and they hadn't seen it for a week or so. They got a bit worried, but they noticed it had been reported with 24 hours after being in their garden. It was in a car park in Spain.
Wow.
Within 24 hours. So yeah.
The information's so important, you know, and again, that lot of that information gets forwarded to our county recorder, and
Well, the thing is,
just bear with me a second. So this is our, for those who don't know, this is the Essex Bird Report, and in the back of the Essex Bird Report, there's a really good section on ringing that David Wilkinson's edited. Gives loads of information about where birds have been rung in Essex. So your information is very important.
yeah,
So,
I mean, it gives them an idea of, you know, where these species are going, where they're spending summers, winters, and movement and migration and so on. It's very important, but it is easy to overlook. I mean, I've done it a few times where, you know, I've been so intent on watching the bird, it's taken me a bit of time to notice there's a ring. So I now try and kind of look at the legs, especially on waders and gulls, and you know, look at the legs fairly quickly and hopefully spot a ring if you're lucky.
It's quite addictive. You can spend hours just looking through the flocks for rings, and
particularly waders. There's a flock of black-tailed godwit turned up on the river, and they often have probably about half a dozen birds with rings. Sometimes you have to get the combination of the left and right legs, don't you? And also kind of whether it's above the knee or below the knee. Some of the rings kind of above knee or below knee. Make notes of that on your phone or your notebook, and then get the info in. Brilliant. Well done, Steve. Great piece.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Good. Do you want to go through all 8, Matt?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
And then are we going to race through optics tonight, or are we going to put that back to next?
Oh, I might have to do that next month, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think because there's something else I want to just talk about in a little while that's quite important. Right, so number 1 and number 2, what do we think they are, guys?
Well, number 1, I think, is pretty obvious.
Well, do you want Ben's answers?
Yeah, go on then.
Blackbird and great tit.
Oh, Blackbird's definitely right. Great tit. I'll give you a clue. The first 3 letters are right, but it's not a great tit. It is
Grey wagtail.
grey wagtail.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened with the photo there. It's got a little bit funny, but you get the idea. So blackbird, grey wagtail. The next pair, 3 and 4. What have we got?
Robin and blackcap.
You know what? Spot on.
That's Ben's.
Robin and blackcap.
Nice one, Ben. That blackcap tripped me up. I thought it was a collared dove.
Yeah, so I mean, blackcap obviously got the grey, the slightly darker browny wings, and then just a little bit of black on the collar. Next 2.
Ben reckons blue tit and sparrowhawk.
Oh, you know what? That's really close. We've got blue tit, and it's a buzzard.
I did.
Again, I think I'm right in saying that the bars on a buzzard's tail are a little bit closer than a sparrowhawk. So I'm not 100%, but I think that's right. And then the final 2. What do we got for these?
Ben says grebe for number 7 and mizzle thrush. I think.
Okay, what was number 7? Sorry.
Grebe ? He's not
Grebe.
sure. He thinks maybe a grebe.
Okay. Any advances on that, guys?
7, yeah.
I think
8's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, 8. You know what? When I did 8, I actually looked at it after I cropped it, and I thought that might even possibly at a quick glance be a woodcock or something. Obviously, it hasn't got the stripes across the head, but it's got the eye, hasn't it? So
Well, yeah.
We've got red wing, and Ben was very close on the thrush, but it's a song thrush, not a missile thrush, but very close on the thrush. On the little picture, you can just tell it's a song thrush, not missile. If I go back, because the song thrush has got the dark lores here, which the missile thrush doesn't have. It's got like a paler looking face, but really cracking effort, Ben. Well done.
Well done, Ben. Yeah, excellent.
Right, that's enough of them.
That's tricky.
Good. Brilliant. So we're going to do optics. Sorry, we've not been able to get to that one tonight, but we'll do that next week, next time, and then we'll have more time.
I've got a couple of messages on here. Sorry, got Simon Cox. Hi, Simon. Thanks for the message. So we had a metal ringed reed bunting from Holland Haven ID'd by photos at a garden feeder in Ipswich last week. So that's nice. And another reed bunting at Holland Haven had been ringed in Lithuania.
Wow.
And that was the first bird in the UK from Lithuania, the first reed bunting from Lithuania in the UK. So that's really good information.
Yeah, really, really good.
Tim Hayward has said, is there a sound app that lowers the frequency like a bat detector? Lots of older people lose higher notes, but an app like this could bring birds back into range. So that's actually a good question.
That's a good point. You could actually, Zeno Canto is the place to go for all the bird songs and calls where people record them. And there's another, again, you're talking computer stuff, but there's a free computer piece of kit called Audacity, Audicity. And on that, you could potentially drop the pitch yourself to something else. So I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but you can download the sound and then through another piece of software do it. It's definitely possible. But it will sound probably slower as well. It'll sound different. Yeah.
Either that or Tim's found a way to make a fortune and needs to develop the app himself.
Yeah, get in there.
Go for it. Yeah. But I was going to say on the ringing, it's worth saying that the camera technology that's available now, kind of linking into optics, and somebody asked me this from the East Tilby Facebook group to advise them on cameras. And the bridge cameras have incredible zoom on them. There's one, the Lumix FZ. I'm a Lumix user, but the FZ82, I get paid by them. But if they want to kind of offer me a free camera, then please do. The FZ82 has got a ridiculous. I was down at Coalhouse Sport zooming into one of the liners that came in, and I could see the colour of somebody's kind of dressing gown strap around them on the balcony as the liner came into Tilbury. Maybe shouldn't have been looking at that, but I was just looking at the side of the boat, and suddenly this guy in his dressing gown stood on the balcony on the side of the ship came into view. But yeah, so I know you've got a similar camera, haven't you, that you can get in on the ring and the legs of the bird, and then from that zoom that out and get the number even off the metal rings.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget as well, I mean, obviously we're going to cover optics next time, but digiscoping as well. If you've got a camera and a scope, put the two together and you're effectively putting a massively extended lens onto your camera that may already have a zoom function as well. So you can multiply it together. Or a mobile phone. Yeah, mobile phone.
Just get a record shot.
Yeah.
That Brent Goose picture that I put in earlier was taken on my mobile phone and zoomed in. That must have been about probably third to half a mile away.
Yeah, this goes to show.
Good. So looking ahead, we need to start thinking about migration, don't we?
No, I think
it's week 10, week 12, looking for my chip-chaffs. But it has already started. There's a picture of a wheatear found in Wales. I only got that second hand, but suspecting that that's legitimate. Was that Monday or something or other, or Tuesday on the Studley one?
Certainly the last couple of days, and then today there was swallow in Dorset.
Wow.
And San Martin in Wales again. So, and I don't know if anyone's seen the weather forecast for this weekend. It's going to be nice and mild, and we've got this big plume of mild air coming up from North Africa. So it should push in a few summer migrants, I would suspect. And even maybe, if you're out and about, look for maybe alpine swift or, I don't know, great spotted cuckoo, potential for these early migrants to turn up. Obviously, on your exercise walks, everyone.
Yep. I'll have to definitely keep my wits about me on my exercise walk, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But talking migrants and, particularly we think coastal sites for that. We had some news coming from the Naze to Jerry this week, Matt. I think you've got a lead on that.
Yeah, we've got a chap, Michael Cook, who's a member of the Naze Protection Society. Now, basically, the Naze, I don't know if people are familiar with it, but it's kind of the northeast edge of the county. And it's a very important site for migrant birds, for nesting little terns, Brent geese during the winter, and many other species. And it's crumbling. The cliffs are falling away. The northern point is slowly eroding. Well, actually quite quickly eroding, to be fair. And I think there's various work that's been going on to try and strengthen the area, but they're wanting to get more focus and I guess more funding to help strengthen the Naze and to preserve it for us all. So you've got the Naze itself, you've got an area of woodland, there's the John Weston Reserve, which is, I think, kind of at the northern end. And then it goes round into Hamford Water, which again is massively important for a number of species. So the Naze Protection Society are looking for members of Essex Birdwatching Society or anybody that frequents the Naze to submit a statement. And if you can submit a statement just basically explaining some of the bird life that you've seen there, some of the flora and fauna as well, just to give witness really to how important the site is. Now I've got a couple of pictures while I'm talking. So if I bring the first one up. So one of the things they need to do is Crag Walk needs to be extended. Now this is Crag Walk here. And I would imagine that by extending Crag Walk further along, it gives a better sea defence. You know, this is basically a seawall. So it's going to protect the land from the erosion of the sea. And so they're looking for funding to extend Crag Walk further. They're also looking for funding to stop the cliffs eroding, basically. You know, any support and any structures and strengthening that can be put in place. I'm not technical, so I don't know what could be done, but I'm sure there are things that can be done to help protect the cliffs. The cliffs themselves, you know, you get good numbers of sand martin nesting in these cliffs. So again, vitally important area for that species. Now, the Naze Protection Society themselves, they're a registered charity. They were established in 1997. Originally, they raised £250,000 towards Crag Walk when that first section went in. And they have an aim, and I'm going to read this out. Their aim is to stimulate awareness of the threat posed by erosion to features of public and historic interest on the Naze, and to secure their protection. To stimulate awareness of the threat posed by erosion of the Naze to the Walton Backwaters National Nature Reserve, and to secure the protection afforded by the Naze to the reserve, the town of Walton on the Naze, and surrounding communities. So that whole area, you know, if it goes, the sea is going to be attacking further inland and into Walton, and so it's not just about the nature.
It'll completely change the whole coastline around there, won't it?
Absolutely.
Hamford Water as well. How can the members actually help? What are they actually looking for? Records or, you know?
Yeah, so basically what they're looking for, they want statements from members regarding the bird life at the Naze, but also, I mean, in particular species such as little tern, sand martin, plus the winter migrants. Now, I've put a list up here. I mean, these are just some of the species that have been seen at the Naze. Some of them regularly, some of them obviously migrant. But over the last couple of years, I mean, we've got, you know, regular short-eared owls, merlins, hen harriers over there. You get, every year you get dusky Pallas's warbler. This year we've had Blythe's reed and great reeds. So it's a really important area. You know, you've got some really good migrant birds there, but it's also the native species that are there. You know, you've got all the waders, the ring plovers, you've got the Brent Goose in the winter, you've got sanderlings, you've got curlews, you've got all the wader species that rely on that area for their habitat and for their breeding. So other flora and fauna as well, including the fishers, Estuarine moth. Now, I'm sure Steve G knows more about this than me, but it's a moth, it's very rare, and I think it's just on the northern coastal of Essex, is it, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's northern coast, yeah, around the coast of Essex, and I think a little bit into Kent, I believe, as well now. But yeah, it's a very specialist moth, very rare.
You've got the seals as well. You know, you get grey seal and harbour seal on you know, around the backwaters there. So what Mike Cook is looking for, he's looking, as I said, for statements. Now you can send them by email if that's okay. So I'll leave that on the screen for a few seconds. The gentleman's name is Mike Cook. Right, cool. Email address dogandwabbit AOL.com. So please, you know, if anyone has got a spare half hour and you've been to the Naze, you enjoy the Naze. I know there are people out there that go to the Naze regularly. So please, if you can just submit your information as to what you see there and why you feel the nose is such an important habitat and deserves protection. It would be much appreciated, not only by Mike, but by all of us at the Society. So thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those situations that if they can get kind of a lot of people responding and a lot of different names of people that identify with that site, really appreciate it, then that brings weight to the case, to the council, or, you know, the Natural England, or whoever, you know, is involved and needed to kind of, you know, make things move to actually get something done there. So yeah, great cause there. Well, we've been 92 minutes.
Wow.
A jam-packed show. I trust you've enjoyed it tonight, and lots of variety, and there'll be more of that in the future. Our next talk actually is in 2 weeks' time. We've got these running 2 weeks. That'll be covering one of the indoor meeting type sessions with Sue. And that actually is a talk by Steve Kale covering birding in Ethiopia on the 5th of March. We'll be back on the 19th of March for the next Birds of Essex, and no doubt we'll have had some spring arrivals and migrants to report about that. So please kind of feedback that. But in the meantime, just a reminder, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And if you aren't a member or you haven't renewed yet, go on the website and use that new PayPal button. But thanks for watching. Thanks for feeding back. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Take
All the best.
Stay safe. Be good.
And don't forget the Rookeries.